Welcome. Welcome, everybody. What's up? What's up? Welcome, you guys. It's Andy. And I want to thank you guys for joining me again for another few minutes just of open conversation between you and I. I want to thank you for taking the time. I want to thank you for being who you are, being somebody that is meaningful to me, or whether I don't know you, you are meaningful to somebody else. So, yeah, I wanted to start off by just thanking everyone for just being exactly who you are. It seems that being exactly who we are nowadays is a difficult task. It's something that I've noticed that it's more difficult than our everyday jobs. It's become a daunting task. And it's become so hard that most of us don't even bother with trying to figure out who we are anymore. And it has become a lot easier to follow a trend, whatever is popping right now, whatever's got everybody's attention. And through time, after we do this for an extended period of time, we begin to chip away of who we are as an individual. Our individuality begins to just fade into the general population and begins to blur. One thing about humanity, it was that our individuality was hard lines, very well defined in between humans and, the things that we do, how we behave, how we treat people, the way that we walk, our speaking manners, our behaviors that sometimes drive the people that we love crazy. But with all of that, it was always the thing to do was to be yourself. And the task became, how can I better find out who I am? It felt like that for a long time. And then in the early 2000s, there was a whole revolution when it comes to humanity. I think just as revolutionary as when the mirror was invented. I think I read somewhere that life as a human began to get really difficult on the level that we all understand now when the mirror was invented. Prior to that, we never really had a clear idea of what we all look like. I knew what you looked like. And comparisons weren't the big deal. It wasn't that much. I'm only I'm only assuming, right? Because I wasn't alive in that time, and I live in a world where mirrors and so many other things are very much in our face, very much in a place that it so easily puts us down. And there's so many misconceptions about it. So to me, being authentic is one of the major pillars onto how to live like a happy life, how to understand that there is no such thing as a happy medium. I remember always looking for that, that happy medium in life. I got to find balance. Yes, of course we got to find balance. But I thought the balance looked like a straight line right down the middle between the good and the bad, my accomplishments and my downfalls. When I treat people amazingly, when, I'm not the nicest of person. That duality of existence. And for the longest time, I did everything possible to try to live in that line. And I went through so much pain and so much discomfort and so much letdowns, internal letdowns, because I could never be happy, and I thought something was wrong with me. I thought that for me to be happy, I needed to be in that line. And the happy medium could look like whatever it is for you, It could be your job. It could be the zeros in your bank account. It can be the amount of people that follow you on your social media. As vague as that sounds, it's no longer vague. We live in a world right now where probably the same handheld device that you're watching this very same video has become part of who we are until something different comes along. And I feel like it's not too far away, whatever that looks like. And we sit here and have integrated our cellular phones into our everyday life. And what we see in there has taken a majority of the emotions that we feel, the thoughts that we think, how we treat others, what we do, right? How we go about our lives. We're being heavily influenced from all manners, all ways. And more we're going inside, like, staying indoors, similar to this, speaking to digital equipment, similar to what I'm doing. And I'm not saying that there's something wrong with that, right? But what I am saying is that we cannot allow those things to dictate how we feel, how I look at the world, how I treat others. Cannot be coming from, a device that takes over and almost becomes the boss of us. But real silent, very ninja-like, almost with no warning. Similar to when you're just kind of there and you have so much to do. And next thing you know, it's been about an hour, maybe longer sometimes, to be honest. And you're just scrolling away. And all of a sudden you just catch yourself and you're like, dang, it's been an hour or whatever long it's been. And I had so much to do, or I could have spent my time doing this, or spend my time with my dog, with my wife, calling my family, going outside. I mean, the list goes on, right? So we really must take charge again of our lives and not let anything outside of us dictate how we feel. Of course, things are going to happen. Some things you're just going to have to deal with, whatever emotions they bring, whatever hurt they come along with, whatever disappointment. But when we actually deal with those emotions and work through them, instead of pushing them to the side or burying them in doom scrolling, like they like to call it, and getting busy enough until we forget about it and we think we're doing better, and then we're back in our beds and You know, our dogs are asleep, our spouses are asleep, or whatever, and it's just you, your thoughts, and the ceiling because you're looking at it because you can't stand to close your eyes. You know, so today started like just like any other day. And that's kind of like these things are. They just happen. You can never plan for quote unquote bad day, right? Nobody plans for those days knowingly. I think that subconsciously that a lot of us do plan for it, do create it, but we have a good list as to why it's not our fault. Most of us are very proud of this list of excuses why things are not going our way, why I can't move ahead, I can't accomplish some of my goals. And we sit there and we would create this list, and we got all kinds of names: the government, politics, my neighbor, and my boss. You know, and it's a good list, except our name is not on it, and that should be on the very top of the list. Because most of the stuff that we're dealing with, I don't want to say self-inflicted, but is something that can be self-regulated when we take the time and prioritize our health, our mental health, our physical health. You know, my mom says all the time, I was like, one of the most important things is our health. Because when our health goes, everything else, it almost become an impossibility to do. Whatever your job is, your relationship with your spouse or your children or your neighbors or whoever, your family members. I mean, everything goes away. So I'm looking at you guys and I urged you to take the time to understand what those emotions are. Why are you feeling the way that you are? Why sometimes you just cry for no reason when nobody's around? You know, those are good times to cry, or at least it feels like the good times. But the really good times to cry is when you have somebody in front of you who really cares for you and would much rather have you cry in front of them than cry in the closet somewhere and bury those emotions. I got news today that a friend of mine decided that it was better to end her life prior to whenever it was supposed to happen, thinking that by doing that it would make things better, make the hurt go away. But the reality is that when somebody commits, it doesn't end the pain. It transfers the pain over to the ones that we love and that are left behind. It seems to be all around us right now, and once it happens, kind of like what happened to me today, we always say, oh my goodness, I can't believe that this person or that person could have been hurting so much that seemed like the best option. But I urge you in this AI powered world that you reach out to the people that you love, physically touch them, hug them, give them love. Don't let smiles and accomplishments be a substitute for checking on somebody. You know, due to social media, we feel like we don't really need to reach out to the people that we love and care for as much because we think that we're all cut up with their lives. You know, we're all, and I'm definitely guilty for it. We're all probably spend way too much time on our telephones and not using them as phones anymore. You know, we barely even talk on the phone. It's little tiny computers that we are walking around with for the past 20 years or plus, where we allowed it to take our attention. I urge you to reach out and check on the people that you care about. Make the effort to go spend time with them regardless. We're all busy. That's not something new. We're all dealing with wild emotions. That is also nothing new. They all seem ramped up lately. They all seem a lot more near. And on top of that, there is all kinds of natural disasters happening. You can argue as to why that is. It matters not, they're still happening. So there are energies and entities all around us really attacking our mental health and our mental well-being, which translates eventually to our physical health, our physical well-being. And then the whole thing is complete. And sometimes it takes something drastic for that to change. Sometimes it's too late. Something that drastic change comes from somebody's too late. So like many of us today are grieving our great friend, a mother, a daughter, co-worker, fellow human. And yes, that's part of the human experience. But it could be experienced in a much different way if we're all just kinder to one another and find a way to really learn what it is to love thy neighbor. So to my friend Kate, a lot of people love you and a lot of people will miss you. Some of us understand that this physical plane is not the end of existence. And we are sure that at some other level, we'll continue it. Until then, to all of you guys, much love, much peace, much resilience and patience, especially for yourself. This has been Andy with the All About podcast today. I thank you guys.